The padlock on ink and iron tattoo wasn't just security. It was Rachel Whitfield's signature. Gregory Stone had served his country, then built a clean, licensed business. But to the HOA's self-appointed moral crusader, it was a stain.
Mr. Stone, I see the county took my concerns seriously. Your little ink den is closed for 14 days.
You filed that complaint? I am a licensed professional. This is harassment.
Harassment. I am protecting families from your lifestyle. The board will review if you are fit to operate.
Sorry, Greg. The order's signed. 14 days pending review. Not our call.
Gregory folded the notice and tucked it into his pocket. Across the lot, Rachel smiled like she'd already won.
You wanted a review, Rachel? Let me show you who reviews what. State Cosmetology Board. I know every inspection code in this county.
That's ridiculous. A tattoo artist on a government board?
Gregory didn't answer. He just walked back to his truck, badge in hand, already dialing the director's number. Inside his home office, Gregory dialed the state board director.
Director Myers, I am recusing myself from any personal case and requesting the quarterly county inspection.
Understood, Mr. Stone. I'll have inspectors deployed within 48 hours.
Gregory hung up and reached for the thick binders of state regulations he helped write.
Every salon has a weakness. Ventilation, sanitizer levels, waste bins. It's all in the code.
His board badge lay on the desk, the one weapon Rachel never saw coming. He cross-referenced the HOA business directory with the inspection criteria, marking red flags on every listing. The clubhouse spa alone had 6 mandatory checks. It likely failed. By midnight, his list covered 24 common infractions. The review would be devastatingly routine. He stowed his badge. 13 days left, but the countdown had already begun. 2 days later, a state inspector entered the Oakwood barbershop and aimed a flashlight at the ceiling vent. Black mold coated the ductwork, a violation the HOA had ignored for years. At nail perfection, Megan Whitfield watched the inspector pull expired disinfectants from her cabinet.
I just renewed my license. This can't be happening.
That evening, Gregory's tablet pinged with the inspection reports. He scrolled through the photos. The barbershop had 6 citations, the spa 8. Every HOA business had at least 2 critical infractions. He zoomed in on the barbershop's moldy vent, then saved the image to his board presentation folder. Megan's salon was flagged for a ventilation fault, a fixable issue, but the code was unforgiving. During a review, Gregory cross-checked each infraction against his list. Every one matched a prediction. The evidence was airtight. In 10 days, the board would vote, and the HOA wouldn't see the strike coming. 10 days later, the state cosmetology board convened. Gregory took his seat, recused from his own case but presenting the quarterly review.
Director, members, 8 establishments failed multiple mandatory codes. Mold, expired chemicals, improper waste.
Good Lord. Are those mold photos from a barbershop inside a residential HOA?
Yes, and the clubhouse spa had 8 critical citations. Systematic neglect across every HOA facility we inspected.
The board members passed around the violation photos, their expressions hardening with each image.
I move. We vote on immediate suspension of all 8 licenses for 60 days.
The vote was unanimous. Every hand went up without hesitation. The order read, effective immediately. The following licenses are suspended for 60 days. Oakwood Barbershop, Nail Perfection, the Clubhouse Spa. Gregory leaned back, his expression neutral, but the slight curl at the corner of his mouth betrayed satisfaction. The orders were dispatched. In 12 hours, every suspended salon would know, and Rachel Whitfield's empire of petty power would start to crumble. By noon, The county sheriff's department had taped license suspension orders on every HOA salon window. Rachel Whitfield's phone erupted with calls. Her moral crusade had just drowned 8 local businesses. She drove straight to Ink and Iron Tattoo, where Gregory was waiting, leaning against his padlocked door.
You think you can destroy this community because I called out your filthy business?
I didn't destroy anything. State codes did. Your salons were cesspools.
She jabbed a finger toward his chest, but he didn't flinch. His eyes stayed flat, unbothered by her theatrics. A local news van pulled up near the HOA entrance, a reporter already holding up the violation photos for the cameras.
This is a personal vendetta by a disgraced tattoo artist. He's bitter because we shut him down for safety.
But the reporter held up the photo of the clubhouse spa's mold-encrusted ventilation, and the crowd's murmurs turned ugly. Rachel's voice trailed off. For the first time, she saw her neighbors looking at her with disgust, not deference. The next morning, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. The community center overflowed with furious residents.
We pay $600 a month in dues for that spa. Now it's padlocked because of your witch hunt. This is Gregory Stone's doing. He weaponized the state against us.
But the board treasurer slid a spreadsheet across the table. The refund liabilities totaled $620,000. Rachel's face drained of color. The HOA reserves couldn't cover a fraction of that amount. That evening, a crowd gathered outside the clubhouse spa, demanding refund forms and carrying signs.
You pushed a moral crusade and cost us everything. I want my money back.
Rachel barricaded herself in the boardroom with the HOA attorney shouting about legal loopholes.
This was supposed to be about standards. How did it turn into this?
By midnight, a recall petition with over 300 signatures landed on the board secretary's desk. Megan found her mother outside the HOA office. The suspension notice for nail perfection crumpled in her fist.
My salon is padlocked because of your war against Gregory. Because you couldn't leave him alone.
He's a menace. The community deserved better. Your salon can recover.
Recover? You got me shut down. My own mother did this.
I have a recall vote to survive. Your salon issues are minor compared to my political future.
Your political future. You are unbelievable. I am done.
She left her mother standing on the steps and walked across the parking lot without looking back. Inside her dark salon, Megan stared at the emptiness and began filling a box with gel polish bottles.
This was my dream, and she killed it for a cause nobody wanted.
She taped the box shut and sat in the silent room, the distant chants of the recall protest bleeding through the walls. The recall petition spread faster than Rachel could spin it. By noon, clipboard-carrying residents covered the HOA.
You can't do this. I was enforcing community standards.
The board secretary didn't look up. The signatures were verified, the threshold long exceeded. At the community mailbox, Megan's friend held out a pen. Megan took it and signed her name beneath the recall petition without a word.
If this is what it takes to stop her, so be it.
Rachel watched from her car window, her daughter's signature unmistakable in large, angry strokes.
Even my own blood has turned. This is worse than I imagined.
The recall election was announced for the following week. Rachel's fate hung in the balance. She drove home to a silent house. The recall notice already taped to her own front door. On day 13 of his closure, Deputy Collins' cruiser pulled up to Ink and Iron Tattoo.
The moral complaint is dead, Greg. County dropped it this morning.
The letter confirmed the complaint was dismissed, but the 14-day order remained in effect until midnight. Gregory stared at the padlock, knowing one more day wouldn't secure his future. He drove straight to his home office, the exemption petition already forming in his mind, a final defense against Rachel's crusade. He pulled out a blank petition for permanent exemption and placed his board badge beside it. He detailed every fact: Rachel's harassment, the dropped complaint, the state board's own findings.
Rachel will never stop unless the system protects me permanently.
He emailed the petition to Director Myers and requested an emergency hearing. By nightfall, the petition was on the state board's docket, and Gregory waited in the quiet of his office. 1 day left on his sentence. The recall election convened in the HOA Community Center, the room thick with anger and the smell of fury.
I stand for decency and order. This community will crumble without moral leadership.
But her voice cracked on the last word, and the silence from the crowd felt heavier than any booze. The board chairperson called for a show of hands. 200 hands rose for recall within seconds. The result was announced. Rachel Whitfield was removed from her subcommittee seat, effective immediately. In the front row, Megan sat motionless, arms crossed tightly, her face a mask of unreadable coldness.
Not a single tear for that woman. She brought this on herself, and now she's paying.
Rachel stepped down from the podium, her coral blazer suddenly looking like a costume shed of its power. By evening, the HOA boardroom felt hollow. Rachel's nameplate had been removed from the table. The recall was complete, but the damage she'd inflicted would outlive her chair and poison relationships for years. 3 days after the recall, Megan sat in a lawyer's office. The closure notice for nail perfection spread on the desk.
I want to sue her personally. Not the HOA. My mother did this.
The lawyer drafted the complaint. Intentional interference with business, citing Rachel's campaign against Gregory that destroyed Megan's salon. At dusk, Megan rang her mother's doorbell, the lawsuit papers heavy in her hand.
You are being served for everything you cost me.
Megan, you can't be serious. I am your mother.
You stopped being my mother the moment you chose your crusade over my livelihood.
She turned and walked down the driveway, leaving Rachel clutching the papers, her world collapsing further.
She's really going to take me to court, my own daughter.
The lawsuit made the local paper. Recalled HOA chair sued by daughter. Rachel's humiliation was now a matter of public record. The morning of the 15th day, Gregory drove to his studio and found the padlock gone.
14 days. It's over. But the war isn't won yet.
He turned on the lights, the familiar smell of ink and antiseptic filling the air. By mid-morning, a news van appeared. The reporter from the HOA story wanted a statement.
Regulations exist for a reason. They protect everyone. My studio was never a threat. It was a scapegoat.
The interview aired that evening, and by the next day, his appointment book was full. Clients who had seen the story came to show support, some with tattoos dedicated to resilience. But in the quiet moments, Gregory checked his email. The exemption hearing was still pending. He stepped outside, coffee in hand, leaning against his truck, looking toward the HOA community.
Rachel is out, but I am not safe yet. Not until the board says I am.
2 weeks later, Gregory walked into the state board hearing, his petition for permanent exemption tucked under his arm.
Director Myers, board members, I am not here to argue my studio's worth. I am here to show you a pattern of targeted harassment.
He spread photos and documents across the table, the padlocked door, Rachel's threats, the dropped moral complaint.
You are asking for absolute immunity from local interference. That sets a precedent.
I am asking that my state license be respected. She weaponized the county against me. She'll do it again.
The board members exchanged glances. Someone pushed a copy of Megan's lawsuit across the table.
That lawsuit is between a mother and daughter. My concern is my business. It could be any of yours next.
The chair nodded and announced they would take the matter under advisement. A decision by week's end. Gregory stepped into the hallway, his heart a steady drum. The waiting felt heavier than the padlock ever did.
No matter what they decide, I'll never let a self-appointed crusader dictate my life again.
the weeks after the hearing dragged. On Oakwood Hills Boulevard, 3 more for sale signs stabbed into front yards overnight. The strip mall stayed shuttered. The barber shop's windows gathered dust, and Nail Perfection's door remained chained. Rachel opened her mail and found a bill from her defense attorney. $42,000. Her savings wouldn't cover half.
How did defending community standards bankrupt me?
At the county courthouse, Megan sat in the gallery during a preliminary hearing, her lawyer at her side. Rachel sat at the defendant's table, her coral blazer replaced by a drab gray cardigan. She looked smaller. Back in the HOA, 2 more families packed moving trucks. The clubhouse pool stayed covered, a monument to her crusade. Gregory drove past the empty strip mall on his way to the studio, but he didn't stop. His fight was elsewhere.
The exemption decision was all that mattered now. Everything else was collateral damage.
The HOA entrance sign still read Oakwood Hills, but beneath it, a community lay in ruins, waiting for a verdict that could change nothing for them. A week after the hearing, while Rachel's lawsuit dragged on, Gregory's phone buzzed. The state board's decision was in. He drove to the Capitol, walked into the director's wood-paneled office, and found Director Myers holding a leather-bound certificate.
Mr. Stone, the board has voted unanimously to grant you permanent exemption from any local interference. Your studio is now untouchable.
Gregory accepted the certificate, his name embossed in gold. The paper felt heavier than any tattoo machine he'd ever held.
Thank you, Director. This isn't just for me. It sets a line that no HOA can cross again without facing the state.
Back at Ink and Iron Tattoo, Gregory removed the old county closure notice from the window and taped the exemption order in its place, a permanent shield. He laid the certificate on his desk, flanked by his board badge and the keys to his now forever open doors, and allowed himself a rare, full smile.
No more padlocks, no more Rachels. Just ink and clients and the code.
Outside, the new sign read, "Permanently exempt from local interference," right beneath the shop name, visible from the highway. The lawsuit between Megan and Rachel still crawled through court, but for Gregory, the war was over. He'd won the right to exist. Gregory studied the studio's layout and drew a red line through the back wall. Time to double down. Contractors came, and within a fortnight, a second tattoo chair gleamed beneath its own lamp, a fresh autoclave beside it. He taped a now hiring poster across the front window, right beneath the exemption sign. A young woman with a portfolio of ink and a quiet hunger shook his hand 3 days later.
I'll teach you everything I know. Don't make me regret it.
She didn't. Her first week, she handled 12 walk-ins without a single complaint. The studio hummed with 2 machines buzzing, 2 chairs turning, 2 artists working.
From padlocked to packed. Let them try to close me now.
The expanded studio became a local landmark, proof that knowing the rules could beat any HOA bully. The lawsuit dragged on, but inside Ink and Iron, 2 tattoo machines buzzed. Gregory had won. The lawsuit finally went to trial in a packed courtroom. Megan took the stand, her voice shaking but her words steady.
She didn't just close my salon. She erased my future. My mother did that.
Rachel's attorney tried to argue it was a community service, but Rachel herself sat slumped, barely meeting anyone's eyes.
I never wanted this, but she left me no choice.
The judge flipped through 3 pages of notes and then read the verdict without pause. Judgment for the plaintiff. Rachel Whitfield is liable for intentional interference and loss of income. Rachel's face drained of what little color remained. The number on the damages sheet was higher than her savings.
Not revenge. Just a number on a page. but it felt like the first thing that made sense in months.
Megan walked out without looking back, while Rachel remained frozen at the defendant's table, her world reduced to a bill she couldn't pay. The legal chapter was closed, but the family one would never open again. The bank foreclosed on Rachel's house 6 weeks after the verdict. She packed her belongings into a single moving truck. The coral blazer stayed on a hanger in an empty closet. Next to the recall notice she'd never taken down, she rented a one-bedroom apartment by the highway, the roar of trucks replacing the quiet of Oakwood Hills. At the mailbox, she found a thick envelope from Megan's attorney. Not a letter from Megan, just a copy of the judgment. Inside, she sat on a mattress on the floor and stared at the legal bill she'd never pay off.
I used to be somebody. I had a house, a committee, a cause.
But the cause had evaporated, and the only thing left was a daughter who wouldn't answer calls. One evening, a letter arrived, hand-addressed, Megan's handwriting. Rachel tore it open. It read, "Please don't contact me again. I can't heal with you in my life." Rachel placed it on the bare kitchen counter and stared out the window at the endless traffic. The crusade was over. Months after Rachel's disappearance, the strip mall began to flicker back to life. On a warm Saturday, Megan stood outside Nail Perfection, a grand reopening banner fluttering above her.
It's good to be open again. I miss this. My space, my rules. No one will ever take it away again.
Gregory's pickup idled at the stoplight. He watched Megan through the salon window.
She fought her own war and won. That's all that matters.
Within a month, the barbershop's vents were clean, the salon's walls repainted. Customers returned. The HOA board, now composed of humbled neighbors, voted to reduce dues and disband the Moral Standards Committee. The clubhouse spa remained a concrete shell, its padlock a reminder that some crusades left permanent scars. Gregory's studio remained packed, the exemption sign a quiet dare to anyone who judged a book by its cover. Late one evening, Gregory locked the front door and turned off the neon sign. The studio hummed with a day's work well done. He walked to his desk and picked up a silver-framed photo of his grandfather.
You told me not to let the bastards win. I didn't.
Beside the frame lay a stack of thank you cards. He opened the top one, handwritten, "You taught me that knowing the rules is a superpower. Thank you for fighting." He placed it on the stack and looked back at the photo. A quiet pride settled in his chest.
Not just a shop. A statement that no one can shut down what's done right.
The next morning, a regular client sat in his chair, her eyes fixed on the exemption certificate. She remarked that the studio felt untouchable now. Gregory just smiled, picking up his machine. He leaned into the ink, the buzz of the machine a quiet anthem. The war was over. The work remained. In the cramped apartment, Rachel sat on the edge of her mattress and pulled out a yellowed photo. It was Megan at 15, beaming at her first salon internship, her mother's coral blazer draped over her shoulders.
She was so proud that day. How did I become the villain in her story?
A thud at the door broke the silence. Another certified bill from the court slipped through the mail slot. She didn't open it, just added it to the stack on the kitchen counter, a monument of paper she'd never escape.
I can't pay. I can't call. I can't go back. There's nothing left.
She traced her finger along the edge of an empty chair, the same chair she'd lorded over at every HOA meeting. Now it just held her coat. The HOA had a new chairperson. The clubhouse spa was still padlocked, and no one remembered her crusade. She returned to the window and watched the traffic blur. Somewhere out there, Megan was rebuilding her life without her. She touched the cold glass and whispered a name. No one would answer. Night fell, and the neon sign of ink and iron tattoo blinked on with a soft hum. Beneath it, The permanently exempt sign caught the faint glow visible even in the dark. The studio stood quiet. No padlock, no protesters, just ink and the code. Gregory had won more than a license. He'd proven that the rules, when respected, are unbreakable. Some battles aren't fought with noise. They're fought with binders, inspections, and patience. And in the end, the one who knows the rulebook becomes the one who writes the ending. The neon flickered once, then held steady, like a heartbeat. A truck rumbled past, its headlights sweeping the building, but the light returned stubbornly. Sometimes the best defense isn't anger or money. It's knowing the rulebook better than your enemy. And the light held